Mambition moments, mambition moments, mambition moments. Welcome back, it's your girl Tiffany. Summer holidays, guys. I feel like I should start this episode by encouraging you all to take a deep breath, a deep, deep breath. It will all be well, okay? I'm coming to let you know that we will all survive the summer holidays, and I think that's a good aim. You know, we might not thrive, but we will survive. Oh, so funny. So, guys, I'm for this episode. I actually wanted to talk about something I experienced in the holiday with my daughter. She had a mean girl experience, my 3-year-old daughter. So, I thought it was interesting watching that. So, on holiday, my daughter walked up to a group of girls. They were between 3 to maybe 8, and they welcomed her in. It was really nice actually to see them all playing together. Even at the beginning, one of the girls actually adjusted my daughter's swimsuit strap, which I thought was very gentle, very sister-like, very kind. I thought, oh, that's a warm thing for another girl to do for you. And they all played together. My daughter was chasing them. They were running, screaming, playing. It was really nice to watch. And about 30 minutes later, one of them actually picked up my daughter. Well, they were playing, so I didn't mind. And then she then dropped her, and then my daughter fell on her bum. And then what happened next was that none of the girls actually offered to help her up. At that point, I thought, okay, hold back, Tiffany. You know, don't get mad, don't get angry, don't fight, don't become Mama Bear. And then, as she sat on the ground, the girls sort of circled her, and one of them actually knocked my daughter's hat from her head, and that's when my Mama Bear energy like kicked in. I was like, oh, girl, you went there, honey, boy, you went there, but anyway, they're children, right? So we can't fight. I can't fight them. So I walked up to them. I stepped in. I said, "Oh, that's not very nice." I said, and I waited to listen to what the girls had to say for themselves. In their defense, they said that my daughter was pretending to be a wolf, and she said she was going to eat them. And I said, "Oh, that does sound very dangerous. That does sound like something you don't want." And I said, "Oh, better check her teeth then, because she might actually be a wolf." I thought she was a child, but oh, it might have been my mistake living with a wolf in my house. And then they all started smiling, and eventually they all started laughing together. And I, kind of gone on into a story about wolves and breakfast and sharp teeth, which by the end of it, they all started laughing, which is what I wanted. I think my aim when I got up from that seat was to create some sort of unity, because in my head I thought, look, listen, they are still young enough to maybe not know that they're doing something very naughty. So I don't want to ostracize them or create some sort of like um create any negative energy. I just really want them to come back together, because they were playing really well. And I think ultimately for girls as well, I want to teach them or show them on some basis that, we can be kind to each other. But, by the end of that sort of situation, they ended up all laughing and smiling, and, that was nice. But as we walked away, I then reminded my daughter that sometimes people will be mean to her. So we practice a stern voice. And even though my daughter's 3, I have every confidence that she will and can fight her own battles. I do think, people need to be like ready for her, because she ain't playing. So ultimately, I don't want to fight her battles. I want to teach her to be able to handle it. And I think in life, sometimes it's not always clear cut to go in there with like, sort of aggressive energy. Sometimes you've got to go with gentle and kind of assess the room first before you know whether you need to fight or not. And for me, given the age of the girls, I thought, well, I don't want to humiliate you or punish you. I want to kind of teach you guys some sort of a lesson to bring you guys back together, because, like I said, they were playing really well together and they're still quite young. So, you know, it's something I'm still learning myself. Like, I can't say that I handle that perfectly, but only say that I hope I did my best in that situation. And I think that's the hardest part of being a parent, isn't it? It's like, we want to defend our children, but we ultimately also need to take a step back and teach them how to do things, because we want them to be independent, to think for themselves, to know how to solve their own problems, because we won't always be with them. So it was interesting to start thinking about like how we intervene, because obviously as a mother, I want to defend my daughter. I want to fight for her. In fact, when I saw the girls knocked it down, I was like, May, let's go. But because I saw the potential that the girls had to be kind and adjust a swimsuit strap, I saw that there was potential there for kindness. And I think, they're still learning. So for me, it's like, I don't know, sometimes you've got to just, I don't know, soften the situation rather than make the other person more of an enemy. And I think that's kind of a nuance, isn't it? That even I've had to learn in my life that not everything that seems like a battle is a battle. Some things you just got to go in gentle and assess and then decide what you could want to do. So I think that's the lesson of parenting that life keeps trying to teach me. Um, and yeah, I think, like I said, ultimately, I think my daughter will be fine, but it's just that you do what you can. You learn from every situation, but the next time there'll be another situation that's completely different. And I'm just hoping that somewhere I land somewhere good enough. Because when I think about how I was brought up, I think I was brought up to be very kind of like a very good girl, very kind, very gentle, which is fine. But I do know that the world in itself will sometimes bring battles to you that you don't want. So I do want my children to be able to defend themselves. So there's always a part of me that will teach them to be gentle and kind and play well with others, but also a part of me that teaches them to have boundaries, a part of me that teaches them to be stern when needs be, to say no, to push back when people try to take things from them. And I am that sort of parent, when we're out and my kids are playing with a toy and someone else wants it, I'm not the sort of person that say, oh, why don't you share it with them? Like, there's a difference between sharing and there's a difference between like giving something you're playing with to someone else. And I think I see situations where sometimes with the grandparents will say, oh no, I didn't give that person a share. I'm like, no, they just only just taking that toy and they're still playing with it. So it's not to be mean, it's just to like fundamentally be able to hold your own, because today it's a toy, tomorrow it might be a career, it might be a promotion that should be yours, it might be something like the much more higher stakes. And I always think to myself, I want my children to have mini versions of what life will bring their way. And today it's a toy, like I said, tomorrow is a promotion. So, and life is all about being able to like navigate the situation. So yeah, I think in that moment, even though the easiest thing for me to do was to be getting them told to tell the girls off, go and find their parents, report them to their parents, I just thought, you know what, we don't need to make enemies of them, and neither do my daughter. And she doesn't need to ostracize them, because like I said, they have potential. I saw the kindness, I saw the warmth. um I wanted to use that opportunity to just show them something, that actually we could all have more fun if we all played together and we weren't mean to each other. So let's all find joy and laughter in this, and a lesson, hopefully. But I don't know. I mean, she's only 3, so I don't know what's going to happen when she's 12, 15. And I do know also that I think girls have a multi-layered way of being mean. That's what I observed. I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like with boys or men, typically when they're mean to each other, it's a very sort of direct, to your face meanness. But I feel like with girls, it's like they plan things, or they might have like a group, or they might talk about you behind your back. There's different ways in which girls can be mean to each other, and it's much more complex and nuanced. So in a way, it's like I've got to teach my daughters like the layers to meanness. Oh, but anyways, guys, look. Well, I say this to say I don't have the answers, and I think none of us do, right? Life and parenting doesn't come with a like an ultimate manual, but we live and we learn, we experience new things, and we adapt, and we keep going. So I can only hope that I did what was best in that situation, and hopefully my daughter took what she needed for the next time, and especially if she's by herself. That's it, guys. It's been real. Thank you so much. I don't know how we're going to continue my ambition moments during the summer holidays, but I'm committed. So yeah, here for it. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, come and connect with us on LinkedIn. I think we're enjoying having the community, and also knowing that we will all survive the summer holidays. See you on the next one. Cheerio.